And welcome to Bill's Media and the Arts podcast. And tonight I have a special guest tonight, Jacob's Well, all the way from Florida. And for those of you who don't know who they are, they're kind of like I want to say Appalachian folk slash kind of country, kind of gospel, kind of just a little bit of everything, you know. And they're gonna be talking about their new album they got dropping here and everything, and maybe play a few tunes or whatever, and we'll go from there maybe.
Okay.
All right. So, sorry about that, guys. Y'all, I'll what I'll do is let y'all let's see, I'll put y'all on the forefront and I'll let y'all start and y'all can just talk.
Okay.
Cool. Good to be here.
Cool to be here. Thank you, Bill. And basically, the album is called Harvest Wind. So it's available pretty much everywhere, streaming. So check it out. And the story behind the album is kind of interesting, the way it came about. So we had 12 songs originally. And when we went in the studio to record the 12 songs, we started listening to the songs and we're like, these songs are like completely different. So the first 6 were kind of like you say, kind of like Appalachian, kind of mountainish.
Yeah.
So we called that EP Carolina Breeze, which William actually inspired the song. He came up with the whole concept of the Carolina Breeze song and all that stuff. So that's kind of spurred that on. So we wrote like 6 songs about North Carolina, which we're going to talk about tonight. A lot of stuff happened in North Carolina, I'm sure everybody knows. And then the other songs were not about North Carolina per se. So we decided to wait, and we just recorded the 6, and then we released that, about 6 months ago?
Yeah.
In the summer.
May.
Yeah. And then we went back into the studio, and we'd already recorded the basic tracks for these songs, but then we added some songs as well, and we just changed arrangements on some of the songs and stuff. So if you want to tell a little bit about any of it.
Oh yeah. It was funny because Gene and I were going to the studio at different times just because of our schedules. So I remember going up and laying all the bass tracks for Carolina Breeze, and we didn't know what was going to be called Harvest Wind.
Right.
I just remember texting Gene like, this seems like we have two things going on here. Just because even the bass, like I was playing bass differently on the Harvest Wind songs than I did the Carolina Breeze songs. And then so Gene goes up and starts doing some stuff, and he sends me this, hey, I did this cool little like intro, like with a spoken word over top of it, and he sent it, and I heard it, and I was like, well, there we go, and we have an album now.
Right. It became the Vineyard, right?
Yeah, which to me that was like the spark that just drove this whole entire project, and this album came together like
it's crazy because another little thing that happened during this album is, so Jamie, whenever we play live, he's always the mandolin player.
Yeah.
I never had played a mandolin before. Awesome. He's an awesome mandolin player. So I just wanted one to hang on the wall like you see back here, just because I thought it would look cool. And I looked at all these antique shops for an old beat up mandolin, and I couldn't find one. So I just ordered one online. And then I'm like, well, heck, I might as well learn how to play it.
There you go.
And so I just learned the basic stuff, and we were working on the album at the time, and the song Thirsty and the song Chasing the Wind, they just like came out of me playing mandolin. I mean, I'd never played mandolin before, but it inspired me. Like, you know how like as a musician, sometimes you'll change the tuning on your guitar, or you'll buy a new instrument or something, and it'll just inspire a lot of stuff. And that's basically what happened. So that added a couple more songs to the album.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy how the whole thing just evolved.
It really did.
Yeah.
And then we had another song I'd already recorded most of the tracks. And Gene texted me the song Harvest Wind, and it's like a bluegrass 2/4 song. It's like very Carolina Breeze. Gene was like, hey, would you mind like re-imaging that song a little bit? Maybe play it in 4/4 and
Strum it different.
Strum it differently. So I'm like, let me try this out. So I'm at home. I'm like, okay, this could be cool. And then we add electric guitar to it,
full drums,
and so this bluegrass song became like
a rock song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Gene really did some cool guitar, like just really cool stuff on all the other tracks, especially with the electric guitar. So we just have all these things on this album. Dulcimer. So I have a dulcimer. I added dulcimer on 2 songs. And then
explain what a dulcimer. It's like a lot of people don't know what it is.
It's like a folk instrument.
Look it up.
You kind of play it on your lap, and
It has 4 strings, right?
4 strings. Some of them have 3.
And it's just like a folk, mountainy kind of folk instrument. And but on Chasing the Wind and on Thirsty, and like, so I said to Jamie, like, so we had another song that was going to be on the album, and it was called A Love Like Yours. And after we recorded the main tracks of it, I was like, I really don't like it. It's just kind of boring. It didn't really go anywhere. So we dropped it off the album. And then at home, I'm learning the mandolin, and I've always had this song Thirsty, like for years. I've had it. It's gone through several transformations. I started playing it on the mandolin, and then I just went in the studio, sat behind the microphone, no anything, just live, and just played it. And then we added the dulcimer, Jamie on the dulcimer, and Chloe played the violin. So I just thought those 3 instruments, they just go together so well. They don't need any, it's just, there's no drums on it. It's just those 3 instruments and the vocals, and it just came out really beautiful.
Yes.
And Chasing the Wind too is just like it's the instrumental song on the album is really cool.
So it was neat to add violin to this project.
Yes, we've never done violin. Like in the past, we always have like harmonica, and like on the Carolina Breeze EP was like even you guys, let me get it. It's right here.
Juice harp.
It's called a juice harp.
Yeah.
So it goes.
Yep.
So I've always played this since I was a kid. So growing up, my dad was a bluegrass musician, and he would take me to all these bluegrass festivals. And I bought one of these as a little kid because they had like little gift shops or whatever there. And I played this my whole life, and I never knew it would end up on an album. So it ended up on our Carolina Breeze album. But this album is none of that. It's electric guitars, it's full drums, bass. There's no harmonica, which we always used in the past. It's just like, this is definitely a new, like, just a new sound. It's not a new sound, but it's definitely
it's very Jacob's Well.
Right, but it's very like explain the whole concept of the album, because you kind of put it together best the way you said it.
You definitely have to listen to it from beginning to end. You can't just go in one track. It's definitely a 25-minute experience, because when Kevin, who produced and recorded the album, he sent the rough tracks, I was starting to listen to it, and I just started getting this story in my head, starting with the vineyard of just this person who's like broken. You know, he's made all these choices in life that have gone awry and just had failed relationships, and he's trying to come back to the place where it all made sense, but the vineyard, and it's decimated.
It's decimated.
Interesting. Right. And then he just goes through this progression of despair, goes into This Worried Traveler, which we re-recorded, which is probably one of my favorite moments on this album. Is just we always wanted This Weird Traveler to be
so much more
huge song. So it's very.
So we added violin and electric guitar and
full drums and cranks. Well, before that goes into Lonely White Crow, he hears this, like, off in the distance, this sound. So he goes into this crow, like, what is this Lonely White Crow doing here? Why is this a warning? Is it whatever? So it just takes this person through this series of events, which leads him to in the beginning, it's very despair, a lot of rough times. The middle is more like surrender, like I can't do this anymore. It turns it as like surrender and praise. The end of the album turns into hope and peace. So he's finally at peace and redemption at the end of this. So that's just sitting there listening to how we put the songs together and the arrangement. And if you listen to it from beginning to end, that whole story kind of unfolded in my mind. I hope to be able to write that into actual story.
So eventually, if it all works out,
Right.
when the CDs come, we're going to make like a little booklet with the CDs. It'll have the lyrics, and it'll have some of the Bible references, because the Vineyard, the song The Vineyard, is right from the Bible. It's Isaiah chapter 5, verses 1 through 9. If you go in your Bible, those are the lyrics. And then the whole story of the white crow and all that stuff is Matthew, where Jesus tells the parable about letting the weeds grow with the wheat and let God sort them out in the end. So the whole album is, those kind of references will be in the little booklet, and the lyrics will be in there, and the story of the whole, how the album of The Weary Traveler and all that stuff. So it's like our Jacob's Well's first concept album.
I love it. If you're a fan of concept albums and sitting and listening to an experience.
That's why you can't just like go on Spotify and let me listen to this one.
Yeah.
You got to listen to the beginning and listen straight through, because it's an experience.
Because like our other albums, they were
more like random songs. You know, they were all good songs, but they were not tied into one another. You know what I mean? They were just like, here's another good song. Oh, here's a song I like, you know.
So the last song on the album, Forever
Home.
So I was getting ready to leave. I'd done some good acoustic guitar work. I was getting ready to leave the studio. Like, I was packed up, ready to go. Hey, see ya. And I opened my folder. There's this song, Forever Home, which I wrote years ago, kind of like thirsty. But I'd never, it could have been on Bitter Days. It could have been on Climb.
Could have been on any of the albums.
I was holding it. And I just stared at this song. I'm like, okay, hey, Kevin, I got one more. You want to just see what happens with this song? So I went ahead and did all the basic tracks for it. And then Gene heard it and said, absolutely.
Yes.
And this should be the end of the album.
So Forever Home, to me, when I listen to it, it's kind of a song about North Carolina, and it's all about the mountains, but it also could be about heaven, because it's like you're standing in the cool water, like it could be the lake, you know, the river that runs through heaven. And it's just the whole image of being at peace and just being where you want to be, like forever home. Like, I just want to be here and here forever. Like, this is it. I finally made it. So then that's the end of the album. That's the final song, Forever Home. And it's really just, it's got a real chill kind of vibe. And Chloe does this really cool violin solo. She does like the vocal melody on the violin. And it just sounds so good. Like, this album to me, like The Climb, like, I know you love the Climb album and all that and stuff. But this album to me, like, the songwriting was at another level. Like, as far as like just the whole idea of it, like
just the way we put it together.
Yeah,
it was us.
Yeah, and there's no, like, on The Climb, like Cody from the old studio, he played a lot of the electric guitar parts, and Frank played a lot of the electric guitar parts. But on here, except for drums and violin, it's me and Jamie. We just played every instrument: mandolin, electric guitar, dobro, every instrument that's on there. And Frank, our buddy Frank, played slide on one song, and then Chloe played violin on pretty much, out of the 8 songs, I think like 6 out of the 8 songs. And then Kevin played percussion on all the songs that have percussion. And Kevin, so here's the story with Kevin. So we were going to his studio by my house for years. We recorded Bitter Days there, we recorded Mountain Air there, we recorded The Climb, and stuff happened. The guy, Cody, was going through a rough time in his life, and it was just scheduling issues. So we kind of started looking for another place to record, and we took a while. And then at our church, this guy, Kevin, started coming to church and playing with the worship team. And he's like, I don't know, you know more about Kevin, what he does. He's like
he does all like the tracking for drums, for tracking for churches that use tracks and click tracks, and he records, and he's recorded albums.
He's been on the road with major recording artists. This guy's like super talented guy. Amazing. I mean, like, and he was like, we were like, I said, Jamie, and he told us that he had a studio. So we were like, maybe he would like record us. Yeah. So we went to his house. He lives up out, about 20, 30 miles out of the city. And he's got this barn. It's all set up, drums, mics, the whole deal. And we just, the vibe was just like, it was instant, going. Like, this is our new home right here. So we recorded Carolina Breeze there and the new one, Harvest Wind.
Yeah. Amazing.
You may talk.
Yeah. Oh, well, I was going to say,
I gave us the floor. Like, all right, we got.
I know, right? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's all about y'all, No, I had talked to Gene a little bit earlier when I first saw the album cover, and I told him, I said, because I know he was saying this is kind of like a little bit darker, kind of like not usually what y'all kind of done. I said that album cover looks like it's something that would come off of like an Edgar Allan Poe like poem book or something, know. Yeah. And funny thing about it, you had just mentioned that like a song like Thirsty and stuff, and I've always wanted to ask you this question, but I never got around a chance to. I don't know why every time we ever talk, I never get to ask. But I always wanted to ask, were they songs like in the past that you've wrote that maybe you've had like put away somewhere? I mean, even like earlier in your career that you would be like, I'd love to do this, but it's not Jacob's Well kind of material or whatever it is. Or when you're writing a song, because like I kind of want to use the example, like for instance, like Written on the Walls. Like, you ever find yourself writing something like that, but then like, well, maybe this is just not Jacob's Well type stuff or whatever. And like, how do you really like kind of go from like, okay, well, I want to write this, but I want to tell this story, but I don't really, how deep into it I really want to go,
Yeah, well, it's so funny you mentioned Written on the Walls because I did like the acoustic version of it, and we discussed doing it and maybe even recording it or whatever. It is like a little, like some of the lyrics are a little over the top for what we do, the bowels of hell, and all that stuff. Yeah. It's a little, but In Bed with Jezebel is, that we've taken another step. So yeah, like Thirsty, if you ever go look at my YouTube channel, I probably wrote that song like 4 years ago or something. Mm-hmm. And we've tried to record it before. We've been in the studio and I was like, nah, I'm not feeling it. And then it just came out. But I'll write a song and I'll know like, okay, I got to show this to Jamie. You know what I mean? I'll know like, this is a Jacob's Well song for sure, and sometimes it doesn't happen right away. Sometimes I'll write a song and I'll put it away and I'll be jamming some little riff or whatever. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I have those lyrics, and I'll pull the lyrics out. Like that was how Thirsty was. Like I started playing the mandolin and I'm like, ooh, I could maybe Thirsty would, so it just happens. It's just when a good song happens, it happens because it's like a God thing. It's like, it just happens. You know what I mean? It's not, you can't force it. You can't make it happen.
Yeah, because like Forever Home, I wrote that before Jacob's Well, like before we even became a thing.
Right.
I had that song. So it just kind of sat, And then Harvest Wind, again, that was a song I wrote. And it was
called North Wind, right?
It was originally called North Wind. And then I actually recorded a demo last year, very bluegrass, and then now I can't unhear what it sounds like now because it is a full-on.
On my phone, I still have the demo tracks, so I'll listen to the demo tracks and then listen to the finished version. It's like it's not the same. It is the same melody, it's the same words. It's just a whole different song.
But I think that's the beauty and the coolness of being in collaboration is. But you got to be open to, hey, try this. Do something different. You know,
Yeah.
You can't be like,
Yeah.
this is the song and this is how it's going to be.
Right.
Because,
Yeah.
you know, there's a guy, a friend of mine that used to be that way that that I'm not in a band with anymore, but that's not how we do things in
No.
Jacob's Well. In
Had
Jacob's
I-
Well, we're a lot more like, what if you tried this?
Yeah.
What if you tried that? You know,
Right.
what if I played mandolin? I know you're the mandolin guy, but is it
Yeah.
okay if, or,
I'm totally fine.
you know, like, and if he wanted to play harmonica, I'm like, dude.
And he was like, bring your dulcimer and try that. And I'm like, this is not going to sound good, this dulcimer on these two songs.
But
and
it
I'm
sounds, it's
like, I'm like,
magic.
holy cow, this sounds really good.
So we've been together as a band, even before we were a band, probably almost going on 10 years. We've been friends and jamming together. So I know how Jamie is and Jamie knows how I am.
Yeah.
So if I want to ask a question, I know how to pose it to him and him, you know, I'm not going to say, dude, I don't like that freaking song you wrote. I want you to change it. I'm going to say, you know what I mean? So I'll go to him and I'll say, hey, just try it. And I even said, try it. If you think it sucks, then let's not do it that way, but let's try it.
But had I been like, no, I want to be this way, it wouldn't have come out the way it is. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this song.
And Lonely White Crow is completely different from how I originally wrote it.
Oh, absolutely.
It used to just, it used to be like, I'll get out a guitar, but it used to be like,
I remember that. Yeah, it was like a rock bluesy.
like a rocky bluesy thing.
Yeah.
And so how that came to be was, so let me get my other guitar. I don't have I'd have to get my, so this guitar here is tuned in open G. All right. So when I started playing dobro and stuff with Jacob's Well, the dobro, for most intents and purposes, tuned in open G, where you just strum across it and it's like a G chord. Like you would play like this, open. So you can like, here's a C and a D, but if you play what is a normal D chord,
Listen to that.
Nice.
and that's how Lonely White Crow was born.
Yep.
I was playing slide, and one day I just like, well, how would a D chord sound on here? And it just,
Yeah.
and then the vineyard is just, but just changing the tuning on the guitar, just inspired like a new world. So we're open to like,
Yeah.
you know, hey, check this out. And if he says, doesn't really sound good, I can trust his opinion. You know what I mean? I know like he's an accomplished musician, and I know he wouldn't let me record something that was going to sound stupid. You know what I mean? Like, so we trust each other's opinion on stuff.
Well, when he showed me the new, hey, I have this new way of playing Lonely White Crow, I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And as soon as he played, I'm like, oh yeah. Because even going into that the chorus. I know you love metal.
Yeah.
This could be a metal song. This could be Jacob's Well metal right here.
So the chorus is just, it's an A and a G, and it just goes. A sharp. So it's very like Pink Floyd-y, metal-y kind of thing, and it's just because I tuned my guitar to open G. Like, I'm 60 years old, and my whole life I've been playing in standard tuning, and then people are like, try open tunings, try it, you know, and it just changed my whole like perspective on music.
So this album,
Nice.
just because we did things that we probably done for so many years,
Right.
it opened our vocabulary.
Yeah.
It opened our
We
writing up.
We stepped out of our box.
We did, which was amazing. Yeah. And if you listen to Lonely White, you'll hear what I'm talking about when he gets to the chorus, because it's like da-na, da-na, and it's like
it could be a metal song.
it definitely could be metal.
Well, that was the thing. I was the few songs that I did hear on the album. I had told Gene that I said, you know, some of these some of these songs actually sound kind of metalish. You like they could actually be on a metal album. You know what I'm saying? So it was
We're almost
pretty
metal.
cool. Yeah,
It could definitely be a metal album if we just turned the distortion. So my gain, I put my gain on my amp about halfway. If I turned it all the way up, it could probably be a metal album. Yes, if I turned the gain to 11, it could be a metal album.
you could write some songs like that and do a set, call it the Metal Well.
There you go, the Metal Well.
Wow.
Yep.
But we definitely have, back to what you were saying, we've definitely thought about the Written on the Walls. And just today, I showed him the chords to Nothing Else Matters by Metallica.
Yep.
And we're thinking about doing that Jacob's Well style.
Yep.
With the violin, where the lead guitar starts, where that lead is. Have that be the violin, do the lead part. So we're thinking of doing a version of that.
Speaking of that song, did you know that there's almost like how do I want to say orchestral version that an orchestra like type version of that song that a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of versions of it. I've seen it with like full strings and everything.
Yeah. When I bought the Metallica box set here back, it was like last year, whatever. When they put a single in there on vinyl, and it's the original Nothing Else Matter version that had all the strings and horns and stuff like that. So when you listen to it, I mean, it just turns that song like, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a great song the way it is that's on the album, but when you actually listen to it with all the bells and whistles, I call it, man, it just really just gives that song a whole new like meaning or whatever.
Yeah, so, we're definitely like, that's what we do. Like if you see Jacob's Well live, we like to take old songs and make them our own. You know what I mean? Like put our own spin on them. So we do a lot of cover tunes, but we make them a Jacob's Well song.
Yeah.
So when you come see us, you're going to hear songs that probably a lot of other bar bands play or whatever, but we do it our own way. We do it a special way where it's different than other bands do it.
On different instruments.
Different instruments, mandolins, banjos, all that stuff, you know. And then, you know, and we mix the originals in. So it's like, we work really hard at having our own sound.
Yeah,
for sure.
And people like it.
Yeah, people seem to.
Well, that's cool, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I've always said I love bands that'll take and do a cover and like put their own style and unique to it, but also honoring the original in itself too. You know, and so like, but I have heard people where they've gone out and took like a cover and just like really really off the wall with it and actually kind of made the song like, I get what they were doing. I get what they were doing and what they were trying, but it's like they missed the boat kind of.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
well,
you know, sometimes you can do that. No.
I think we get by reaction and just the way we play it. Like we recently started doing Kryptonite by Three Doors Down.
Yeah.
And we stay pretty close to, you know, the melody and all that. But Gene's playing banjo. And then Xander's playing the washboard and bass drum. And people are like,
this band,
love it.
This folk band is playing Kryptonite.
Yeah.
You know, so we try to pick some songs and we do, you know, Imagine Dragons and stuff like that. So to be like a money-making band nowadays, if you want to make money, you have to like go and play around. You have to you can't just say, we're just going to do original music. Yeah. We tried that. And we ended up playing at the same freaking place every weekend and not getting paid.
Yeah.
So we still do our originals. We try to do 3 to 4 originals a set. Yeah. And we do 3 sets. So, you know, we're still getting many of our original songs out, and we do get opportunities to play all original sets.
Yep.
And so, but we're out there and we're playing a lot. We play 3-4 times a month, and we're making money. And
This
you
month
know,
we're playing a lot of
a
shows.
lot. We're going to North Carolina. We're playing and everything. So I think some people might think, oh, those guys sold out. They're doing cover tunes or whatever. But we are artists. We write original music. We do the cover songs because people want to hear some songs that they recognize, and they also want to hear some originals. So we mix it up, and I think it's been a pretty successful formula. I mean,
agree.
And if it happens that one day somebody says, "Hey, you want to go on tour?" We have enough originals we could play for 3 hours solid and never have to stop. We have 3 albums, 3 EPs. We have probably, I don't know, 50 songs that we could play. So it's not like we don't have enough originals,
right?
But we're just waiting for that opportunity when somebody says, you know. And if it doesn't happen, we're happy doing what we're doing too. So
yeah. Well, you know, like I said, I mean, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with doing covers. I mean, you know, because really, honestly, I hate to say this, but nowadays covers is what gets people in the door, kind of. You know what I'm saying? And you know, and like you said, like do covers and put your own spin on it. Like you take, for instance, like when you hear Metallica's "Turn the Page," right? I mean, when you hear that song compared to Bob Seger's, it's almost like it's a totally different song, which is not a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you know, I think with the problem with a lot of people nowadays is they're not as open-minded as, you know, like I think people should be. They get stuck in these sort of kind of, well, it's got to be this way, and I've heard it this way for so long, and it's just like, yeah, but why don't you like, it's kind of like I heard Marty Freeman from Megadeth say one time. He said the reason he left Megadeth was because their music was gunmetal gray, and he liked to paint with reds and blues and greens and black and whites and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like that. You know, like I mean, you could take it, like I said, you could take a cover and honor the people by doing it and honor it in a way, but also put your own spin onto it. And I like that. I love listening to songs that like that was done one way and then like somebody come in like flip it upside down, and I was like, you know, that is really cool. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like, you know.
And we try to be really like, I don't know, like really think it out, like not picky, but we try to pick songs that we know are going to fit our style of music. We're not going to play a song if it's not going to honor the original. You know what I mean? We're like, oh, here's a great song. Let's, you know, like we do stuff from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, you know, we just, if a song fits our like groove, then we'll do it. You know, if we're like, we'll hear a song and go, ooh, that would be a cool song for us to do. And then we'll make it our own, you know? And
we've done some where we've been like, no, let's never do that again.
Let's never do that again, right?
But like now, we have a lot that like, it's got to be in the set. Like we do
like going to California. Yeah, Led Zeppelin. We do that every time we play.
And we play it differently every single time.
All the Fleetwood Mac stuff. You know, we do Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For by U2.
Can play it completely different
than U2 does, but it still sounds like, I mean, you know what song it is.
The melody is there.
The melody's there.
And then we do one of my favorite, we do
Collective Soul.
And I remember last summer, these people came up after we played it and they were like, that was the best version of that song I've ever heard. And I was like, oh. So we're very selective on the cover tunes that we do. And we have the opportunity, because we play a lot, we can try them out and see, that one didn't really, that's not so good. So we'll just drop it or whatever. So, you know, we really have refined our set. Yeah, I feel.
You know, in playing the style of music y'all play, I think y'all would really do it with some Tom Petty tunes too, because like
we do a lot of Tom Petty
stuff. Because I mean, because if you think about it, I mean his songs kind of fit like right into y'all's you know style. You know,
we do 5 Tom Petty songs.
Yeah, we kind of rotate them because we do a lot.
We do Last Dance with Mary Jane. We do Free Fall. We do Running Down a Dream.
Running Down a Dream.
We do
We've done Won't Back Down. We kind of
Back
rotate
Down.
and some.
So we do yeah.
Or it'd be all Tom Petty if we didn't.
Right.
Rotate.
If we didn't rotate them, it'd be all Tom Petty.
Don't Do Me Like That. We've done that.
Right. So we're definitely we're from Florida, so
Yeah.
we're gonna play some Tom Petty.
But people
love
to
it.
hear it and they love it. Yeah.
I tell you a song I think that would fall right in y'all's wheelhouse too. I don't know if you've ever heard it, but it's the New York City song by John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band.
I don't know if I've heard that.
To look that up.
If you ever see the Eddie and the Cruiser movies?
Yes.
Oh, on the second one,
Eddie
Eddie and the Cruisers 2, Eddie Lives, when he's
Right.
driving to Montreal for the record release thing, that song that's playing over that's the New York City song.
All right, we'll have to listen to it.
Yeah, but I think that would be something that would y'all probably could do.
And we get a lot of people that'll come up and ask us to play songs. I'm like, well, if we know it, if it's in the Book of Well,
If it's in the Book of Well, we'll play it.
we'll play it.
Yep, there you go. I like that, the Book of Well. Yep. Awesome. And I wanted to say something too, Gene, earlier when you was talking about Written on the Walls, and you were kind of saying that you thought that sometimes that maybe some of the lyrics were corny. I just wanted to always tell you that one part in the song where you go, "As I lay here, freezing veins of ice, what would be for me? What would be the price?" When you do that in that song, that is just so epic how you did that, and just the way you've done it or whatever.
I didn't think they were too corny. I just thought they were too dark for Jacob's Well.
Okay, yeah.
I think the lyrics are great. That was pretty much my opus.
Yeah.
I just think this song is a little dark for Jacob's Well.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't think we've done it yet. That part, I love that whole acoustic part.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, from what I've heard of the album, it sounds great. But like I said, I want to get the CD version of it and with the lyrics and all that stuff, and just kind of dive into it and really immerse myself into it or whatever.
Oh, you will.
Because that's the way I love to listen to music anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we will have them in a couple weeks or now, or maybe
they could be at home right now.
They could be on Jamie's porch right now, but the booklet should be done. I'll get on the booklet and we'll get that made up and we'll get them out. And as far as our merch and stuff like that, if you go on I just want to mention our Facebook and our Instagram, Jacob's Well 727. So anything you need to know about the band, where to get our stuff, where to listen to our music, where we're playing, it's on our social media, our Instagram and our Facebook. So Jacob's Well 727.
Yeah, and my son's girlfriend has a shop. She's it's a part
Etsy.
of Etsy, and she's very creative, and she's been killing it. So we kind of turned that over, which is great to kind of take something off of because we do this all ourselves.
She makes all our t-shirts.
Yes,
we have
she's
shirts,
phenomenal.
Hoodies, everything.
She's getting ready I talked to her tonight. She's working on the Harvest Wind, that album cover, on merch, and also your favorite beverage. So we will have mugs. Jacob's
nice
mugs. So we are expanding the shop. So we're excited about that as well.
Yeah, so let me just get this picture down real quick, just in case people don't know.
So how this album cover came about too.
So here's the album cover.
Okay. Yep.
I don't know if the glare is on it.
Go a little closer.
Yeah.
Way.
Right. Yeah, that way. There you go. Right there. Yep.
Perfect.
All right. And so we'll have t-shirts with this on the back, and then it'll have Harvest Wind on the front, Jacob's Well Harvest Wind. But the way this album cover came about is, so it started out, it's been through many phases. So I wrote the song Lonely White Crow, and I found some cheesy White Crow thing on the internet, and I put lyrics with it. And then I found a better picture, and I liked that one. And I said, hey, Jamie, look at this. And he was like, oh, that's cool. And then he came up with one, and I was like, ooh, that's even cooler.
Yeah, I did it on AI.
And then my son said, well, here's what a real artist does.
Yeah.
And that's my son, who is also in a band. Novelly Band.
Good stuff.
Novely, Novelly Band. Go check them out.
They rock.
Really good.
Awesome.
And he's an artist, and he did that for me. He's done almost all our album covers, except for Mountain Air and Carolina Breeze. But Bitter Days is his artwork. The Climb he put together. So he's a really talented kid and a great musician. Nice. Novelty Band. Check him out. Plug for my son. But yeah, so that's it. Go check out our new album.
And like we said, we are going to North Carolina in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
We planned like this.
So where we're going is just west. So Asheville is here.
Yeah.
The closest we're getting to Asheville is Waynesville, which is what, about 45 minutes?
Yeah.
45 minutes east or west of Asheville. So we should be fine. Like Waynesville did get some flooding.
Yeah.
And they've cleaned it all up, and they're ready for bands and stuff. But all the other shows we have are fine. They're further west, so we're okay. But please pray for those people up there, because from what we heard today, we were talking about earlier, they're just going to bulldoze all those cities under. There's dead bodies everywhere in the trees and in the mud and everywhere, and they're not even going to fix those towns up. So pray for those people, because a lot of them are still trapped up there in the mountains. They have to, they're haven't eaten. They haven't had water. They're having to try to find a way down the mountain to get to the town so they can get water, because there's water there. People are bringing water and supplies and food, but you got to be able to get to it. And some of those people are trapped. If you've ever been in the mountains in Tennessee and North Carolina, it's a little dirt road that goes up to your house or whatever.
Yeah.
And if it's washed out, you're trapped up there unless you have a helicopter or something,
Yep.
So a lot of those people are trapped there. So just keep them in your prayers. And
I'm wearing the shirt of one of the places they're playing. They're kind of down from the city, and there's a creek that runs behind it. A beautiful stage and beer garden out there. It got destroyed.
Yeah.
But guess what? They're open.
Yeah.
I contacted them, and they're like, yeah, we're waiting for you. So I'm like, we can't wait to get up there and just maybe give some people a little bit of joy, and maybe just let people escape for a couple hours. So I know we're gonna bring 200% energy.
So
up there,
go on our socials, Jacob's Well 727, and the song "Forever Home." There's a video out. Look it up on there, and just like it, and help us support the people up there in North Carolina.
Is that on YouTube too?
No.
So I put it on. So I put it on Facebook, and Gene's the one that he said, "Hey, it'd be cool if you made, we did like a dedication using Forever Home, which like the song is like perfect." So I put that together, and then I also have a TikTok account. I don't do a lot with TikTok. I put some of our videos on there,
Right.
and the highest video view I've ever gotten was maybe 1,600.
Yeah.
So last night I put it up. By the time I went to bed, it was over 600 views. This morning it was 15,000. And before I got the jeans, it was up to 27,000 views on TikTok. So if you're a TikTok person, you can go check it out there as well.
Jake, what does it just look like?
Well, it's just my personal one. I should probably maybe put together a Jacob's Well talk.
Right.
Now
at
I
least
have
share where they can see it on TikTok.
So if you're on TikTok, you can find my TikTok page, long for the letter 4, long for elevation, one word. And I put other Jacob's Well videos on there, and they've done 900 views. And then this one has, I just very overwhelmed when I woke up this morning to see.
It's just great to see
Yeah.
the support that people are, out there for what's going on in North Carolina.
Yeah, and
we were hit here. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Florida, you don't hear as much or see as much about it because the images aren't as grandiose.
Plus, it happens
but
all the time.
There's a lot of places you drive in a neighborhood and people's whole lives are out by the street. All week long, we've been going to people's houses and helping them rip out the drywall out of their house because they have 4 foot of water in their house. And, I was just Tuesday, I was at my friend's neighborhood that's right on the water, and just every driveway down the long street, piles of people's lives. Their, couches, every belonging they have out by the street, house after house after house after house. And if you go down to the beaches, the sand is piled up like snowdrifts.
Yeah.
So things are bad here, but we're more used to it because we get hit more often. So when a hurricane hits here, we just kind of put it all back together.
Yeah.
But what happened there is a lot different than catastrophic. So so that's why we've been. I know we were supposed to do this last week and we had to cancel because that was the day the hurricane came through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but we all got through it. Me and Jamie got through it. Xander got through it. So check out our new album, Jacob's Well, Harvest Wind.
You're going to love it.
You're going to love it.
Yep. Well, I just wanted to say to bless you guys for doing the things that y'all do. And like I said, lending a helping hand to your neighbor and everything, because, a lot of people won't. And so, and it's not, I guess to a certain extent, it's, the world we kind of live in now where, it's just like you help somebody and it's just like, it almost comes back to bite you sometimes, and I get why people don't do some of the stuff they do. But like I said, it's just good to know that there's still people in the world that's willing to help someone and whatever. And like you said, pray for those people in North Carolina because, I remember because I used to have family that lived in the mountains of North Carolina and, spent a lot of my childhood days there and stuff like that. And, it brings back memories, but it's also, I hate to see that those people that, lost everything they have, their whole lives are gone. And, so, and it's funny, saying that, talking about with FEMA and everything, my brother works for a company called Sapaco and they make stuff like the food for FEMA and they make army rations and stuff like that. So my mom was telling me today, she was watching news and actually had a Sapaco truck out there delivering food and stuff like that. So I told my brother, I said, you're helping in a way and you don't really realize it. You know what I'm saying? So that's really cool. So yeah. So I just want to say, thank you guys for the things y'all do, not just the music, but just, being the people you are and everything. And more people in the world should be, I think, a lot more like you guys,
I appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, my parents live in Franklin, North Carolina, and I didn't hear from them for 2 days, so I didn't know, what was going on. Get kind of worried, and then I'm there was this Facebook group in the area where my wife was asking people, "Hey, can you go check?" And they were getting ready to do it, and then I'm sitting Sunday morning church, and then my dad finally texts comes, "Hey, we're here. We're at McDonald's." I'm like, that's just classic.
To get the Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah, but they're chilling at McDonald's having a egg McMuffin while I'm getting ready to send in the helicopters and in the trucks.
Yeah,
we're coming to get you.
Yep.
So, but they're good.
Well, that's good then. That's great.
Yeah.
All right, well, guys, thank you for doing this, and like I said, I hope.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And like I said, I hope.
Spectacular.
There you go. Yep. But
definitely,
yeah, I hope.
That was amazing.
Check out our Instagram and our Facebook page, Jacob's Well 727. Everything you need to know about the band is there, where we're playing, about our album, about our tour.
And let us know, we want to know what people think of the album.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you listen to it and you want to do a review, we would love that because we always want people feedback and
we always like to hear like what people like think about it. Like that on The Climb when you did that review, we were in tears, dude.
Yeah.
To know that our music that we wrote touched you in that way. And I'm sorry, what's the girl's name again? I forget.
Patricia Compton.
Patricia.
Yep.
Some of the things she said, it brought us to tears when we watched that interview thing that you guys did, the rate the album thing. It was just like, because you guys got it, like you heard it, and you're like, when you write a song and somebody listens to it and gets it and understands it and it touches their heart, that's like what you can give me $1 million, which is great, but I'd rather touch somebody's heart and change their life, or you know what I mean? And that's what the reward is. The money's great, but it's really like when your song touches somebody's heart or inspires a thought or inspires something, you know.
And with this album, you know, we want that same thing, and to know that this album starts kind of, you know, in despair, but ends hopeful, because it starts in a minor key and ends in a major key. So that's you're going from that and to hope at the end, and we hope that it just inspires people. Like, guess what? Lots of things happen, but at the end, we're all going to be okay.
Especially with all the things that are going on in the world right now, with the politics and the wars everywhere and stuff.
This album really encapsulates.
Right. We want people to know, even in the things when there's things going on around that we can't control, that there is someone in control and we can trust him.
It's going to be all right.
Hard times, that it's going to be all right.
Awesome. Well, when I get the album and get a chance to sit down and get into it and everything, I'll definitely try to do a review for you guys and just let everybody let them know what I think. And like I said, I mean, and just to let y'all guys know that y'all haven't made a bad album yet, whether it's an album or an EP or whatever it is. I mean, I've enjoyed all.
Thank you very much.
I enjoy all your music, and like I said, I mean, going from just like, I always try to be more open-minded than most people, and actually it's funny, right before I let y'all guys go, growing up in the home that I grew up in, I grew up in a small house, and I got an older brother and an older sister. And, when I was coming up, my brother was a huge metalhead, and my sister listened to more stuff like AC/DC, Zeppelin. She was more in the kind of the like Bob Seger, stuff like that, and then my mom and dad listened to nothing but like country, like Waylon and Willie and Hank and all them guys. So I had all these influences coming from all different areas of the home. And it was funny. When I lived in New York, right. You know the guy, the band Manowar, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure anyway. Well, three of the guys that in that band live like in that town of Auburn where I lived. And anyway, so I was talking to a guy one day, and because I had just come back from like a Garth Brooks concert, and a guy at work asked me, he says, well, how do you go from listening to like something like Manowar to like Garth Brooks or whatever, right? And I explained that story to him, and he's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And so that's why I think, like, with me, I enjoy like all different types of stuff. I don't always like everything, but I'll at least give something a chance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so yeah, and like I've always just been like into like just like classical music, and just about anything I can indulge that I think that moves me to a certain extent.
Right.
And I've always been a fan of like acoustic albums and stuff like that. And, and just like, so yeah, I mean, so the stuff y'all do is like kind of like really down my wheelhouse, and it's like, cause I love listening to all the different, and see what I love too is like y'all take and you put all these instruments that maybe people wouldn't think of putting in a song, in there. And it, like I said, it just makes it, I'm like, wow, like I never would have thought of that. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, So it's really cool.
Well, on Bitter Days, when we did Bitter Days, okay, so it was the washboard for percussion with a kick drum, and then on top of the kick drum was mounted a tambourine.
Yes.
So every time you hit the kick drum, it made the tambourine shake. So the percussion on Bitter Days is just a washboard, a bass drum, so
lots of acoustic guitars.
lots of acoustic.
Yep.
So it's like, you know, whatever, you know, we're willing to try anything.
And then Climb was very slick, like slick production.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Carolina Breeze was our country folk
Album,
bluegrass
right.
album, and now we have our alternative.
We call it Dark Side of the Well.
It is the dark. Yeah, it's definitely, and that's our influences. So Gene's like metal and all that good stuff.
Right.
And then I come from progressive rock. I listen to Genesis and Yes and King Crimson and Pink Floyd, but I also love bluegrass. So we get these things that come together,
And it makes craziness.
and we're not afraid to go. We'll
Right.
go that way, and look at this. We just turned 180 degrees and made this like rock album and a concept album. To me, it's right now. Harvest Wind is my favorite project to date. It is like, wow.
The Climb, like you said, is more polished.
Yes.
And like the riffs that Cody played and Frank played on that make that album like
It's fantastic.
fantastic. But this to me is like our opus. This is like something we did that was like good, great. The songwriting is phenomenal.
Just the way it came together was
together, and right.
It was a joy.
Sometimes being in the studio can be real stressful because you're playing with a click track and everything has to be perfect, and it's a lot of pressure sometimes in the studio. But this was just like fun.
It literally
it just came together.
It came right out. Yeah.
Well, you know, it was like years ago. Godsmack released an album, and I forgot the name of it now, but it was like like they took a bunch of their songs and done like an acoustic version of it or whatever. And I always said that was like my favorite album they done. You know, because it was just all stripped down and everything. And then, what was Seven Dust had done the same thing. They had put out like a live album. It was called like Southside Double Wide, and it was like all stripped down and acoustic and everything. And I was like, you know, more bands need to do stuff like that, because it's just, you know, I don't know what it is. It's just like, I honestly really think that like acoustic music is more, it's just like, I don't know, there's just more of I want to say more soulful thing. Yeah, more honest, more soulful kind of thing.
Because most of the songs are written on acoustic guitar.
Right.
Yeah.
All those Seven Dust and all those bands, I'm sure most of those songs were written sitting in there, you know, wherever with a guitar and writing some words down. You know what I mean? So that's taking it back to the heart of it. You know what I mean? Just like you said, the soul of it.
Yep. Oh yeah. I'm gonna give y'all guys a plug right quick. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Do the fireworks thing.
The fireworks thing was cool. I like
that. What's happening? It's a musical interlude with Gene Adam.
I just wanted to say, I picked one.
Oh, look at that.
A t-shirt.
All right.
Ooh.
And I got a hoodie.
Oh, nice. You got the hoodie too.
Yep. And so I just want to say to everybody out there that's watching, it's good quality merch. And the material's great. The logos and everything. So it's worth your money. So,
and we will have the Harvest Wind merch, the album cover, just like this.
Yep.
Will be out very soon. She's working on it right now. And if you go on our Instagram or our Facebook, you can see where you can order our merch at. There's a link on there. And the CDs, when they come out, you can order through PayPal at jacobswellmerch.com. And that also is on our socials. All that info.
Nice. Yep.
And the shirts and the hoodies are available in gray and blue. And then we do have some black ones.
We do have black.
Black. They're very black.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. And then I guess we're gonna have some mugs too, some coffee mugs. So
that's awesome.
You can have a little cup of Joe with Jacob's Well. You know, how cool is that?
Have some Joe by the well.
Or whatever else you want to put in the mug.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Alrighty. Well, I guess that's it, guys. If you know.
Thank you very much for having us on.
You're welcome.
And
yeah.
So, like I said, y'all guys go out and support Jacob's Well. They're a great band. And they have a lot of great music and everything. Pick up their album. You won't regret it. Pick up their merch and support a great couple guys that really work hard and put out some really great music. And you know, if y'all got anything y'all want to close with, that'd be cool.
I'll finish the song.
Okay.
Okay.
You sing a little bit of it?
No.
Okay.
Lonely white crow, what's that seed you sound? Can you reach it?
Yeah, hold on.
All right, hang on. We weren't
prepared. Yeah.
All right.
We weren't prepared.
We were not prepared. Can you feel that east wind blow? Lonely white crow. Will they hear it when you call? Are they listening along? Lonely white crow. Well, it's almost all the time. There's no reason in the rhyme. And half the weeds grow with the weeds. And did the devil make it sing as he fallen at your feet? Lonely white crow. Come to tell me, girl, with his broken wings, have you come to warn the nation of the price that evil brings? Oh, the writings on the wall, have you come to watch us fall? Oh, lonely white crow. And it's almost all the time. There's no reason in the rhyme. Have the weeds grow with the weeds. And did the devil make it seem? Has he fallen at your feet? Lonely white crow. Lonely white crow. Lonely white crow. Lonely white crow.
Awesome.
So that's the bass line on a mandolin. So, yeah. So playing the bass part on a mandolin. So I had to,
So that is
it came out great.
That is the, I don't know, it's not the featured song. It's just one of the songs off the album.
Yeah.
It is, but it was definitely
the inspiration for the album.
Definitely.
Probably.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the cornerstones that drove this this album to where it wanted to be.
Absolutely.
And part of the story too. You know?
Yeah, the story of the Lonely White Crow is
Yeah.
crazy. I think I've told it before.
Right.
I don't know if you have time.
Yeah.
I was fishing one day. I like to bass fish, and I'm at this lake by my house, and I'm fishing, and in the trees behind me, I hear like these crows are just going crazy, and I look back in the trees there, and one of the crows is like a genuine like white crow. Like it had like a few black feathers on like some of the tips of its wings, but it was white. No, and it didn't have like pink eyes or nothing. It wasn't albino. It was a white crow. So I was like, wow, that's really weird. So then a couple weeks go by, and I go back there fishing again, and it's there again, but this time it's by itself, and it's just in the tree, and it's just like there, and I'm like, wow, man, it's just like, I don't know. So I looked it up, and the Native Americans believe that a white raven or a white crow is a sign of God's judgment on their tribe. So the whole album kind of came of like as we're nearing what a lot of people believe maybe are like the end times, like, why is this crow here? Is he like trying to bring us this message? So the whole album kind of birthed out of that, was like, are we in the end times? Is what's going on? And the whole song is like, Lonely White Crow, why are you here? Why have you come? And so that's kind of like how it came out of, I guess.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
But it's so cool. It's so well put together.
I've had 2 glasses of sangria. So.
Yeah. No, you're doing great. Man. You're doing great. Yeah.
No, that's an amazing story.
All right. But yeah, the crow thing, it's just like the more and like Jamie will even tell you now, when I'm out and you hear a crow, you're like,
I got out of the car tonight, and I hear that.
And you're like, you start to instantly think,
Yeah.
and when you see how smart crows are, man, they're like the most intelligent bird, and it just it just kind of fuels the whole thing, like. And so the whole album kind of came together around that story, and just like the vineyard and the weary traveler and all that stuff was just like this whole story of like this guy just like going, wow, look what's happened here.
Yeah.
I was gone for a little while, and I'm back, and this whole place is a mess. You know what I mean? And he just kind of falls on his knees, and he's just like, and thirsty. He's just like worshiping God, like, and then at the end, it's like he ends up, in paradise, where he wants to be.
Yep.
Well, I wanted to add one little last thing. Speaking of that, talking about, and when you really look at it too, and even if it wasn't like something you meant for to do, just the song titles in themselves, just kind of, it's almost like, like with the Weary Traveler and all of that, even though you had put it previously on another album, and like you say, you redone it, it just, like you said, it's weird how all that comes together. And it's like song Thirsty, maybe that was the reason why you didn't do it then, because it was meant for this project. So it's like,
we had that picture on the wall here was literally going to be our next huge album after Climb.
Right. It was supposed to be called
This Weary
Traveler. And so that's when the whole studio thing fell apart. And we salvaged 3 songs out of the demo tracks we had done, which was This Weary Traveler, Mountain Air, and Bryson City Breakdown. And we just finished them at a friend's house. And they didn't sound really very good, but we released them anyways, just kind of like a filler album. And then when we did this, we were like, man, Jamie was like, This Weary Traveler would be perfect on here. So it's not a reboot, it's a re-record. It's not those old tracks fixed up. It's completely re-recorded. We redid the whole song. It's not just like, oh, they took that old song and added some extra instruments. No, we took it back from scratch and
Chloe's violin on there.
It was amazing.
So,
that was actually one of the ones I listened to. That and it is a difference. It's like almost a totally different song. So
right.
And I already had because I'm a drummer, so I've had the drum track in my head for years. So like when Kevin was there the day he put the drum track on that song, and I kind of was like, this is how I want it to go. This is how a hi-hat should sound. So that was really the only.
That was a thing though too, not to take up more time.
Yeah.
But so Jamie on all our past stuff, except for on Bitter Days, Xander played a lot of the drums, the washboard. But on Climb, that's all Jamie, and on whatchamacallit, Mountain Air, that's all Jamie. So it's like for a drummer to sit back and let another drummer play on their album is kind of pretty weird. I mean, probably not many drummers would say, okay, go ahead, play the drums.
I'm built differently.
But Kevin,
I share.
But Kevin is a dear friend of ours, and he's just like, he's amazing. And so.
And he had it all set up.
Right. He has it set up. When we're not there, he can listen at night and do his drum tracks and all that stuff. And Jamie told him basically what he wanted and all that stuff. And we trust Kevin, 100%
stuff.
So if you listen to the album, the drums on there are just incredible.
Yeah.
Like, so the whole thing was just like, awesome.
Well, one. Speaking of that, one more question I'll ask before you go. So, is there anything drumming wise that he done that you would have done differently, or like, because like you said,
carefully, could be watching.
No, I mean, Weary Traveler, you played it. Well, that was funny because I did more of a march on the original, and I really didn't like it. So he did something a little different. So that was really cool the way he played it.
Well, on In Bed with Jezebel. So the song, song In Bed with Jezebel.
Yes.
So when we did the demo tracks, it was just more like just some drums to keep the tempo.
Yeah.
It was just a kick drum and a snare. It wasn't like a whole drum kit. It's just a demo. So, but the sound that he used for the snare drum was like
he was doing a rim shot. He was doing a rim shot.
If you know what a rim shot is, like a
little click.
And it was fine for the demo. And then so we record the song and we go to his house to listen to it, and we're like, no, the rim shot has to go. He's like, but wait, he loved that rim shot. We literally had to almost like force him to take it off.
Yes.
And then the minute he turned the volume on the rim shot down, it was like, there it is.
There it is.
We're like, let's try a different snare sound. What if we try this sound? And we tried all these different sounds. But once we took the snare hit out to get all together, if you listen to the song, the verses, there's no snare. It's just
bass and hi-hat.
Just bass and hi-hat. The snare doesn't come into the chorus. And it builds. It was perfect.
Because the chorus drives. So like the verses are kind of chill. And then when that chorus kicks in,
listen to In Bed with Jezebel, and in the verses you won't hear a snare because we're like, no.
So even though I didn't play drums, we still offered suggestions on how to.
And he was great. But he was gracious. He was like.
But even Forever Home, when I recorded the acoustic track, I added this shuffle. I played it very shuffly.
Explain what a shuffle is. Can you play it?
Kind of, like. So it's like a little shuffle in there. So I told him, hey, listen to it, because I kind of put a shuffle in there, because originally he was just kind of playing it like
a drum beat.
And then when we went back and we listened to it, he does the shuffle, and it's so good.
That song, it's the last song on the album. The drums on that song, to me, I like a lot of the songs on that album, but the song that sticks in my head that I'll end up singing all day while I'm at work is Forever Here, Forever Home.
It's got the shuffle.
The drums are just like.
We think he had a little fun because he was doing
It's very.
He's doing some really cool fills in there.
Yeah.
And so I'm okay with that. I mean, whatever makes the song. And sometimes if you're part of the project, so I mean, he recorded it and engineered.
Right.
So I think him being a part of
makes a difference.
The music, obviously.
Right.
The end result is what you get. When you're invested in it, I think you're gonna pay a lot more attention to things and just be more committed to.
And the production is great. I mean,
Yeah,
it sounds like, I mean, it just sounds great.
it's full.
And if you listen with headphones, my
Yes.
suggestion is find the best headphones you can find and maybe have some libations or something and just sit back and put it on from the beginning and listen to the end.
all the way through.
It's just like it's a story. It's
Yeah.
just
25 minutes, so
25-minute
that's not
journey.
too bad.
A 25-minute musical journey.
That's right.
Hey, that's awesome. All right. Well, and one other thing I wanted to say too, and Jamie with that too. I was going to say I've played drums before. Back when I was in high school and everything, I was in the marching band for a while. But it's also good sometimes to have an extra ear. Because, like I say, sometimes people can come up and be like, hey, I love that, and there's nothing wrong with that. And like you were saying earlier with some of the stuff, try this and see, because maybe what you're hearing, it may not be wrong, but something I may hear maybe a little bit greater, and there's nothing wrong. You know what I'm saying? So it's like maybe in a way, with him playing the drums like that, and y'all focus more on the other instrumental part, maybe it was supposed to come together that way. I always look at stuff like that,
Well,
So.
and I listened to the bass because I don't think I played bass anywhere near how I played on this one.
The bass, if you listen to this album and you listen to the bass guitar, the bass tracks are incredible.
So I don't know what I was doing, but it came out pretty cool. And some of the mandolin parts, like on Jezebel, and even Worry Traveler and that were kind of cool too. So I think maybe you're right on that. I was able to maybe, put some focus on some of the other instruments. Which yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Awesome. All righty.
All right.
Well, like I said, thanks, guys, and
thank you.
Appreciate it. Yep.
Jacob,
good luck with
727.
Yep. Good luck with your shows, and be careful. And we'll chat again.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good night.
Have a good night.